All right, everyone, ready to dive into the world of software.
Sounds exciting.
But we're not just talking about how to use it this time.
Oh.
We're going deeper, behind the scenes.
Okay, I like where this is going.
It's all about how developers make sure the software actually works.
Ah, the magic behind the curtain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ever had an app crash at the worst possible moment? Like right when you're about to hit save.
Don't even get me started. Or how about a website freeze when you're buying tickets?
The worst. Well, today's deep dive is all about preventing those digital disasters.
All right, now I've got my attention.
We're talking of the software testing lifecycle, or STLC for short.
STLC, got it. Lay it on me. What is that exactly?
It's the secret weapon against buggy software.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Think of it like this. The STLC is a structured process, a way to make sure that software actually does what it's supposed to do.
You mean minimizing those frustrating errors we've all experienced?
Precisely.
So it's like quality control, but for the digital world.
You got it.
I'm in. So how does this whole STLC thing actually work? What's the secret sauce?
Well, picture it as a series of carefully planned phases.
Phases.
Yeah, each one with a specific purpose. And the cool thing is, it's super adaptable.
Adaptable how?
The STLC can work whether a team uses an agile methodology, all about flexibility and iterating.
Right.
Or a more traditional waterfall method where the phases happen in a strict sequence.
Ah, got it. So walk me through these phases. What's the first step?
It all starts with something called requirement analysis.
Requirement analysis sounds important.
Oh, it definitely is. This phase is all about defining the software's purpose. What is it supposed to do it?
Makes sense. You got to start with the why.
Right, exactly. And during this phase, the testers work really closely with the folks who envision the software in the first place.
So making sure everyone's on the same page about what the software is supposed to do.
You got it. They figure out all the features, all the functions, everything it should do, and just as importantly, what it should not do.
Right, because sometimes what it's not supposed to do is just as important as what it's supposed to do.
100%. Okay, so think of it like building a house.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
This requirement analysis stage, this is like sitting down with the architect, going over the blueprints, making sure we understand the layout, the number of rooms, all those details before even picking up a hammer.
That's a good analogy. You're making this easy to understand. And just like with the blueprint for a house, this phase ensures that both the testing team and the developers are all on the same page, even down to the nitty-gritty technical specs, right?
Exactly. We're talking about defining the software's building blocks, making sure everything's crystal clear before a single line of code is written.
Smart. That definitely saves a lot of headaches down the road.
Right. Because nobody wants to be in that situation where they're like, whoops, we built the wrong thing.
Talk about a disaster. Imagine having to rebuild an entire house just because someone misread the blueprint.
A nightmare. And a huge waste of time and resources.
Okay, so we've got our digital blueprints all figured out. What's the next phase in the STLC?
Next comes test planning. And this is where the strategy for testing is developed.
The strategy.
Yeah, you don't want to go into this blind. Imagine throwing a party with zero planning. No guest list, no snacks, just utter chaos. Right?
Oh, I can see where this is going.
This phase is all about bringing order to the chaos. We're talking timelines, resources, what parts of the software are we prioritizing, what kinds of tests are we going to run.
It's all about having a solid game plan.
Exactly. Even in my own work, having a plan, even a simple one, makes a huge difference in how things get done.
100%. I totally agree. But how do we actually put this meticulous planning into action? What are we doing to test the software itself?
That's where test case development comes into play.
Okay, break that down for me.
So if testing was a game,
I like where this is going.
This is where we write the rule book. Each test case is like a scenario, a specific situation the software might encounter in the real world. We have to make sure it can handle it.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So like every possible thing a user might do, you've got to test for that.
You've got it. Think about those times you get frustrated when a specific button or feature just doesn't work the way it should.
Ugh, the worst.
Test cases are designed to catch those things, even the edge cases that most users might not even think of.
So you're talking about really specific scenarios then?
Incredibly detailed, down to the specific data inputs. Every button press, every interaction, every possible user action, it all gets turned into a test case.
Wow, that's pretty intense. It's like creating an obstacle course for the software.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And just like a real obstacle course, the software has to clear every single hurdle to be successful.
Okay, I'm impressed. So we've designed our obstacle course. What's next?
Well, we need to make sure our obstacle course is set up in the right environment.
Right, you wouldn't test a submarine in a bathtub.
Exactly. And that brings us to the next phase, test environment setup.
Okay, so this is like building that perfect testing ground for our software.
You got it. And it's crucial because you want to make sure you're testing the software in conditions that actually mimic the real world.
It's like those simulators they use for astronauts, right? So much depends on getting those conditions just right.
Exactly. All right, so we've got our meticulously planned test cases. We've built our virtual stage for the software to perform on. Now it's showtime. Which brings us to test execution.
All right, let's see what this software can do. Showtime. But instead of looking for a standing ovation,
Right. Not looking for applause this time.
we're looking for those hidden flaws,
Like what?
those tiny glitches that might trip up the software.
That ultimately trip up the user.
Exactly. So during test execution, our testers, they become like detectives.
Ooh, I like that. Software detectives.
Armed with their trusty test cases, they put the software through the ringer.
Making sure it can handle anything and everything.
Yeah, and documenting every little thing they find, every bug, every unexpected behavior. It all gets recorded, and I mean in detail.
Because even one tiny bug can turn into a major headache down the road.
You know it. It's like that saying, for want of a nail, the shoe was lost.
For want of a shoe, the horse was lost.
For want of a horse, the rider was lost. One tiny bug can snowball into a huge issue.
So true. I'm remembering that time when, what was it, a photo editing app? Really popular one. They updated their software, and suddenly everyone's photos had this weird green tint.
Ouch, yeah. That's a perfect example of why this is so important.
It's all about those details.
Thorough documentation during testing. Crucial. Think of it like trying to fix a leaky faucet, but you don't know where the leak is coming from. Could take you all day. But if you've got that detailed documentation, the developers, they can quickly swoop in, identify those software leaks, those pesky bugs, before they cause too much trouble.
All right, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So we've built our software, meticulously planned our strategy, put it through the ringer. What's next? Time to celebrate.
Well, maybe a little celebration is in order, if everything goes perfectly.
Fingers crossed.
But even if the software passes all the tests with flying colors, we've still got one crucial phase left. Test closure.
Okay, so this isn't just everyone high-fiving and calling it a day.
Not quite. Test closure is where we take a step back, look at the big picture.
Reflecting on the process.
Exactly. What worked well during testing? What could have been smoother? What did we learn that we can apply to future projects? It's about constantly improving how we approach software quality.
So it's like the debrief after a big mission.
Yeah.
Everyone gets together, shares their insights, figures out how to be even more awesome next time.
Precisely. We create a final summary report, document all the lessons learned.
A treasure trove of wisdom for next time.
You could say that. It's like a treasure map for future development teams, helping them navigate the often treacherous terrain of software creation.
I love that analogy. But I gotta ask, why does all this behind the scenes work? Why does it matter to me? The everyday user is just trying to get stuff done.
Oh, you'll notice. You'll definitely notice. Remember all those frustrating glitches and crashes we talked about?
Oh, believe me, I remember.
The STLC, it's all about preventing those headaches.
So you're saying this magical process can actually prevent my phone from, randomly rebooting in the middle of an important phone call?
Well, I wouldn't say it's magic.
Close enough.
But when software goes through a rigorous testing process like this, you're much more likely to have a smooth, enjoyable experience. And a frustration-free one.
Okay, that alone is worth its weight in gold. But are there any other perks, any other benefits to this whole STLC thing?
Absolutely. When developers can catch and fix bugs early in the development process, it saves everyone time and money.
Makes sense. Time is money.
And fewer bugs means less time fixing them later on, which means that the development teams, they can focus on the good stuff.
You mean adding cool new features?
Exactly. The stuff that users, like you, actually want.
So it's a win-win for everyone. Smoother user experience and other developers have more time to make the software even better. I never even thought about it like that.
It just makes sense, right?
It's like if you're choosing between two coffee shops, right? One where the barista is constantly fixing the espresso machine.
Oh, no, I've been there.
And the other one they've got it down to a science.
Their process is down pat.
And they can focus on, like, latte art and making your drink amazing.
Now you're speaking my language.
Exactly.
A well-tested piece of software, that's a thing of beauty.
It really is.
And just like that barista, the software testers, we take pride in our craft.
I bet you do.
Even if our work is often, kind of invisible to the end user.
Invisible, but so essential. It's like, those documentaries about those amazing artisans.
Yeah.
Who spend years perfecting their craft.
Years.
And you only see, like, the finished product. That stunning piece of pottery.
Beautiful.
Or a handcrafted violin.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't always think about all the work, the meticulous work that went into it.
All the work behind the scenes.
Exactly. So next time I'm using an app or a website and everything's just working, seamlessly, I'm thinking about all those skill testers working behind the scenes, making it happen.
I appreciate that. We're kind of like that, the unsung heroes.
The unsung heroes of software. I love it. Well, this has been such an eye-opening conversation. Any final words of wisdom before we wrap up our deep dive into the STLC?
How about this? Next time you encounter a bug, and I know it's frustrating, but try not to see it as, like, a failure.
Okay.
Think of it more as a sign that the team, they're still working hard to make that software the best it can be.
I like that.
And, a lot of apps and websites, they have these public bug trackers now.
Oh, really?
It's fascinating to take a look just to see what they're working on.
Like getting a behind-the-scenes tour. I have to check those out.
Definitely do.
This has been so fun. Thank you so much for joining me today for this deep dive into the world of the STLC.
My pleasure. Anytime.
And to all our listeners, next time you download an app, remember the STLC. The often invisible force behind reliable software.
Reliable software for everyone.